Hello everyone, I'm Lloyd Moyer. You usually see me in my turning clothes and in my shop, but I'm sort of in between shops right now. I'm in the middle of moving, and my shop is out of commission. It's deconstructed and in boxes and waiting for power to get set up so that I can hook my lathe up. It's a whole thing. So I thought I would do this video today about the business side, my experience with the business side of turning, selling, wholesaling, retailing, working with craft fairs, how to price, things like that. I've been turning since the early 1990s, somewhere in there, 93, something like that, 94. I've been doing craft fairs for the last, maybe 15 or 16 years. And I've had my work in half a dozen shops or so, both as consignment and selling them wholesale. One of the large discussions I hear online and with other turners and guilds and things like that is how to price your work, whether you're selling on Etsy or some other online platform or at a craft fair, or if you're selling to someone to sell at a shop. It's one of those things that if it's your business, you want to charge $1 million for it, you're welcome to. I'm sure it's worth it. But you might have a hard time selling it. But at the same time, you don't want to take something. I just have this sitting next to me. You don't want to take something like this and sell it for $40. You could, someone would buy it, but it's worth more than that. But how do you figure out what it's worth? The simplest answer to that I have found is it's worth what somebody will pay for it, right? You want to charge an appropriate amount that someone will pay. Obviously, you want them to pay as much as they are willing to, but you still want to sell it, right? I will often say at craft fairs when people say, "Oh man, this is so much less expensive," I say, "Yeah, I want to sell it. Yeah, I want to sell it. I'd rather sell it to you. I find the joy in making it. I love making the money on it, but the real joy is in making it. So when it's done being made, I've gotten my pleasure out of it. Now it's your turn." But so how do you price that? How do you price something? You have to know your market. You have to know where you are. If you're at a craft fair in, I'm not even gonna guess. My father is in South Carolina, and he always says that it's much. He can get much less for his pieces in South Carolina than he used to be able to up here in Pennsylvania. But you have to know that. You have to, and sometimes it takes time to figure it out. So you find a sweet spot, right? You find that spot where this is an amount that I'm comfortable selling the piece for, and that my customer is willing to pay for it. And that's different in different places. If you're in California, or in Santa Fe, New Mexico, or Jackson Hole, Wyoming, has a lot. Maybe that are bigger craft areas, bigger handmade areas, more affluent areas. Obviously, people are going to be able to pay more, but you have to find that balance, and it's different for every crafter. For example, I have this piece again. This this is one of my larger pieces. This is maybe an 18-inch tray, something like that. I don't sell a whole lot of these. They're hard to store, but I have a $285 price tag on this. It's hickory. I probably could sell it for more. I obviously haven't sold it yet. But I also find a balance of you've got to want it more than me. I could sell it for $100, but for $100, I'd rather keep it. I'd rather look at it for $100 or $50, whatever. And that's different for every crafter, and that's okay. Like you're fine with that. So you have to find your balance, and I should also say, I don't put price tags on my work all that often, because they're mine. I can price them however I want. I like to be able to judge my audience, right? I like if I'm at a craft fair and I can really feel the energy and they're really spending and really having fun, and really being excited, my prices might be a little bit higher. Whereas if it's sort of I'm getting a vibe that it's a little more price conscious, then I can charge less. Now I'm not charging half. I'm making a difference of $20 or $25. I still have over the time I've still figured out my sweet spot, and that's that sweet. Honestly, that sweet spot is for bowls. You know what? Give me just a second. So I just went and grabbed a few bowls that I have sitting in this room here. I don't know where most of my inventory is, honestly, but so I make a pretty wide variety. I showed you this one, and I make salad bowls that size. I make salad bowls that are I don't usually get up to 18 inches. I can, but they take longer to sell. They're harder to store. A good 14-inch salad bowl is great, right? But I make a lot of these little guys, right? You see me make them on my videos. These little guys, and at the craft fairs, and actually in my retail shops, these sell really well because they're grab and go, right? Like I charge $20 for this, because it's a little sort of a personal nut bowl, and I can sell 30 of them. If I can make 30 of them, I can sell 30 of them in a weekend. And it's great. It's an easy buy, right? So then I have slightly larger pieces like this piece of cherry. I think this is one of my early videos. I think I made this bowl. But this is maybe a $50 bowl for the most part. It's about 5-6 inches in diameter. It feels nice, but I'll get $50 or $60 for this, something like that. Little bigger, and obviously, I especially with bowls, it's sort of by size. That's just how they sell. That's just how it makes sense. So something like this, or like this one here, that are sort of similar sized. Again, a little bit bigger. These are between $75 and $100, something like that. If it's something that I see that has a little bit more interest, something that people are going to be a little bit more wowed about, like a natural edge bowl, I might charge $150 for this. My sweet spot is $150 to $250. My really big salad bowls, I have one sitting over there that's full of other stuff, but a big salad bowl, I might get $275 for. And again, that's me. I'm in southeastern Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia. It's a relatively affluent area, but relatively conservative. But they the people around me like that handmade craft that I do. There are places where I could get more. There are places that I could get less. But over time, that's the sweet spot that I've found for me. There are I've seen people do formulas, and I should also mention, for all of this stuff, the reason, like, I get to make it up because I don't pay for the wood. All of my wood is found. It's all reclaimed. It's found on the side of a road. It is something that's been taken down by an acquaintance or a friend of a friend. Hey, I had this tree come down. Do you want some cherry? Do you want some cherry? Do you want some hickory? So it's all my wood is found. If you have to go out and buy your wood, it's a whole other thing. You have, and for that, if you go out and buy this is why I never buy wood, because if you go out and buy wood, and if you have to, you have to. But for me, you never are gonna, or it's very hard to make money on a piece if you have to buy the wood for it, especially if you're buying exotics. If you figure you buy, a little piece of, I don't know, I bought a piece of Purple Heart not too long ago. I needed a piece for something. And, a piece of Purple Heart that's, this big by, 4 inches, it can cost, $30, $40, something like that, $30. So to me, in a retail setting, I want to double my money. Now, that's not greedy, that's just normal, right? But even if you just want to break even, if it's a 4x4 piece and I make a little box out of, and I paid $30 for the blank, I'd like to sell that little box for $60, and sometimes that's tough. So when you're buying the wood, you're constrained by how much you're already spending. And my brother, who makes furniture, designs and builds furniture, told me, he's like, you never get paid for your time. Like you can say that you want to get paid X amount an hour. It never works out that way, especially if you're doing it by a contract. But what I heard once that made sense to me is you figure out how much you want to make an hour, right? Let's say you think you should make $50 an hour, right? So then you say, all right, how many of this bowl can I make in an hour, right? And then you figure in your cost, but how many of this bowl can I make in an hour? I could probably can make 3 of these in an hour, right? So if I want to make it easy, if I want to make $60 in an hour and I can make 3 of these, that means for my time, it's $20 an hour, right? Or it's $20 a bowl. So it's $20 a bowl plus the cost of your material, right? Now, you also, if you really want to get it right, you got to figure in you got to amortize the cost of your lathe, your sandpaper, right? Your oil and finish, your tools, all of that. If you want to try and make a living doing this, which I don't, I would love to, but I don't. All of that has to be worked into the cost of each piece, and there's and maybe you call that as part of your $50 an hour or $60 an hour. But so if I can make 3 of this bowl in an hour, and I want to make $60 an hour, then that's $20 a bowl. If it takes me 2 hours to make this bowl, and I want to make $60 an hour, then it's $120. Now, if you want to make more than that, or you're okay making less than that, then you can price it accordingly. Don't be afraid to charge what you think you're worth. I was having when I was first started to sell, I was selling on Etsy, and I've never had much luck selling on Etsy. I don't use it anymore, and there are some people that have plenty of luck, and I just was never one of them. But I was having trouble with it, and my brother said to me, again, my brother who this furniture builder. He goes, try tripling your prices. And that had never occurred to me, and it was sort of a revelation, because the price that you're charging for your bowl says something about the quality of your bowl to you, right? If I'm charging, less than what you could buy it for at Target, that implies something about the quality, right? Whereas if I'm charging, if it's a bowl that you can get for $20 at Target and I'm charging $75 for it, or $175 for it, that says something about the quality of the piece. It's handmade, it's one of a kind, it's all of those things that you're imparting with the price. So don't be afraid to put a price tag on something. Don't be afraid to ask for what you think it's worth. I said earlier, you've got to want it more than me. I'm proud of this bowl. I believe that every bowl that you make, you should be able to hold up and say, this is an accurate representation of my skill and my ability. Because the person who buys this is the one example of your skill and ability. But I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of this bowl, and I'm not afraid to ask for it. And if you want to pay me, I never feel bad if somebody says, you want $150 for that? Can I offer you $125? You're welcome to. And some days I'll say yes, and some days I'll say no. An offer is an opportunity. But don't ever be afraid to put a price tag on it for what you think it's worth. You'll find somebody else that thinks it's worth the same amount. I don't know. That's some of my feelings about pricing and retailing. Oh, and I wanted to say also I've seen lots of people that will sell to a shop, like a gift shop or somebody they're just going to buy your bowl and resell them. You got to remember, you want them to be successful also. You want them to sell your bowl and have a great experience with it, so they come back and buy more from you. So don't charge them retail, right? If I think this bowl should sell for $150, I'm not going to sell it to a shop for $150, because then they're going to have to turn around and sell it for $300. And I love this bowl, and I would love to sell it for $300, but it'd take a long time to sell for $300 in my market. So if I'm selling this to a retailer who's going to turn around and sell it, and I think this bowl should sell for $150, I'm going to charge them $75 for it. And I know a lot of people say, but it's not, it's worth more than that. Yeah, it is worth more than that, but they're taking all the risk. They're taking all the overhead of having the shop. They're actually selling it for you, and they get to they get what amounts to a discount. That's what wholesaling is, right? Like if you're in a shop and you pick up something and you look at the price tag, you can bet that store didn't pay that for that item, right? Like they paid some percentage of it. Usually it's, depending on what it is, it's half or a lot less than half. So when you wholesale something, don't be surprised that, like, if you're going to try and sell them what you would sell it for at retail, they may only buy from you once. But if you sell it to them and so that they can price it at a price that is going to sell, they're going to be coming back to you again. Also, of course, pay attention to what people are buying, right? Like, like the natural edge pieces sell. I don't make a lot of them, but I know that I can charge a bit more for them because they get a lot of attention. This bowl, this Japanese cherry bowl is sort of my sweet spot, right? Like this is, this is I think 125. I don't have a price tag on it. I think $125 is probably what I would charge for this, and it's about 10 inches in diameter. That's my sweet spot. That's where I make my money. But I know that I've sold hundreds, right? Hundreds of bowls. That's what I'm going to sell a lot of. You can use it, you can store it. You don't have to keep it on top of your refrigerator or in the center of your dining table. You can put this away and you can use it. So know your market. That's pricing. I hope this was interesting. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I can't wait to get back into my shop. Maybe I'll take you for a tour around the shop when I get back to it. I miss turning. But thanks for listening to me. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions. I've made a ton of mistakes and I've tried to learn from them. So I feel like I've learned a lot and I've made from making those mistakes. Ask me a question, leave me a question in the comments. Happy to have a discussion about it. Tell me what you think. All of that. If my shop, is still down in another little while, I'm gonna I'll make another video like this. And feel free to leave me a comment and see what else I can talk about. So in the meantime, I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching it. I'll see you next time.